Hey there, internet friends. Welcome to another episode of That D Plus Show. Class is in session for the only show from that nerdy site that lets you know what kind of quality to expect right from the name. I'm your host, Trevor Starkey, and each week we dive into a different Disney Plus offering and discuss its history, how it holds up today, and our general impressions. If you like the show, we would love it if you like, subscribe, rate, review, share the podcast with your friends, all that fun stuff. Joining me today, once again, Cameron Abbott. How you doing, Cameron?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's going on is today we are wrapping up our Skeleton Crew season 1. We obviously did like the first couple episodes back in December, I think, when they originally came out. But now the season has wrapped up, so we're going to kind of share our thoughts on the rest of the season. That includes this will be inclusive of all episodes, so this could be a real adventure, way out past the barrier. Very interesting, an astrogation problem. Can't say I remember no Atten. You have a lot to learn about pirates. Zero friends again. We're going to be in so much trouble. And the real good guys. Why'd we pick it? Because it is the Star Wars thing that has just wrapped up here. And our history lesson here, originally released between December 2nd, 2024 through January 14th, 2025. Runtime between 32 and 49 minutes, which I believe was like the first episode was 49 minutes, the second episode was 32 minutes, and then everything else fell in between that as well, because I did not have to change that setting from the previous version of this documentation. In the Star Wars TV timeline of things, as we touched on last time, we had Obi-Wan Kenobi back in 2022, Andor Season 1 in September-November 2022, then The Mandalorian Season 3 in March of 2023, Ahsoka Season 1 August and October of 2023, The Acolyte Rest in Peace of 2024, Skeleton Crew here, December through January 2024, 2025. And then up next, we have Andor Season 2 coming out in April, followed by Ahsoka Season 2 TBD. But we did get, I believe, or at least I think I saw like reports making the rounds that Hayden Christensen, Ariana Greenblatt, and even Ewan McGregor are going to be back for some segments of Ahsoka Season 2, basically doing flashback stuff to the Clone Wars.
Cool. I'm down with that.
So that should be cool to see them all firing in live-action Clone Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Our roll call, when we talked about this last time, we talked about directors John Watts and David Lowery. John Watts directed the first episode and then would come back and direct the final episode of the season. Of course, he's also the kind of creative showrunner and creator of this show, having worked on the Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home films. David Lowery did episode 2 and then episode 3 as well. Having previously directed The Green Knight, as well as the Disney Plus Peter Pan and Wendy from 2023, I believe. New directors that came in after that batch, we had for episode 4, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, a.k.a. The Daniels, came in and directed that one. Best known for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which they, of course, won the Oscar for, as well as films like Swiss Army Man. Jake Schreier did episode 5, who is a music video director for artists like Benny Blanco, who I did not know until now was a music artist. I just know him as Selena Gomez's now fiance.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But also Kanye West. And then Jake Schreier is also directing the upcoming Thunderbolts * movie. Bryce Dallas Howard came in and directed episode 6, having, of course, worked as an actor for many, many years, but also a director in the Star Wars live-action TV shows for The Mandalorian, as well as The Book of Boba Fett. And then Lee Isaac Chung directed episode 7, having also worked on The Mandalorian previously, but probably best known for his work as the director of the films Minari and most recently Twisters from last year. Our writers, again, we talked about Christopher Ford last time, who wrote episodes 1 through 4 and then came back and did 7 and 8, having also worked on Spider-Man Homecoming, as well as John Watts, the same pairing of episodes. New to this episode, Myung Jo Wesner wrote episodes 5 and 6, having previously worked on projects series Death and Other Details and High Potential, in addition to Skeleton Crew here. Our cast of characters, of course, Jude Law as Jod Na Nawud, a.k.a. so many other things that I'll call out in our trivia section. Having worked on stuff like The Talented Mr. Ripley, Alfie, A Series of Unfortunate Events, 2004, The Holiday, Sherlock Holmes, Fantastic Beasts, Captain Marvel, and Peter Pan and Wendy. Ravi Cabot-Conyers playing Wim here was in Encanto and Grassland. Robert Timothy Smith as Neil was in Mythic Quest and Dear Santa. Ryan Kira Armstrong as Fern was previously in Black Widow, The Tomorrow War, American Horror Story, and Firestarter. Kiriana Krater as KB has been in Bunked and United States of AI. Nick Frost as SM-33, of course, from the Cornetto trilogy of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, as well as Doctor Who and many other things over the years. Tunde Adebimpe playing Wendell, Wim's father. Was in Celebrity Deathmatch, Rachel Getting Married, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Twisters. Carrie Condon as Farah, a.k.a. Fern's mother, was in... she's been Friday in the MCU since Avengers Age of Ultron. She's also in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Ray Donovan, Better Call Saul, and The Banshees of Inisherin. Mm-hmm. I called out the little cameo of Jaleel White as Gunter. In our last episode on Skeleton Crew, of course, best known as Steve Urkel from Family Matters, as well as the Sonic the Hedgehog animated series. And then looking through the cast list, I pulled a few more little, you might have recognized them or you might have caught them. Kelly MacDonald played Pocket, aka the bounty hunter on the luxury planet Lanupa, that knew Jude Law's character from one of his many past aliases. She has been, among other things, Merida from the Pixar film Brave. Aaliyah Shawkat plays Kim, aka the Owl Lady, best known probably as Maybe from Arrested Development. Stephen Fry was notably the voice of the supervisor, British comedy legend. I always think of the Fry and Laurie sketches that I remember seeing and making the rounds on like YouTube years ago. And Alfred Molina played Benjar Pranik, a.k.a. the old pirate who found Jod when Jod was trying to save SM-33 back in episode 3. Of course, Alfred Molina, Doc Ock from Spider-Man, where he most recently worked with John Watts.
I also want to say Stephen Fry, I felt like he was trying to do an Ian McDonald.
Ian McDonald or Ian McDermott?
Which is the British actor?
I mean, Ian McDermott is the Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, no, not him. Maybe I'm...
Ian McShane?
No, Ian Mc... Oh, McDermott. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the Emperor Palpatine.
No. Ian Mc... Sorry, no. I'm wrong on that then. It's Ian... He was... Shoot.
Who do you think he was trying to be?
Donald.
Use your words. We're dead air.
He talks... that's a bad impression, but he talks like this. He was in Heroes.
Ian McDowell?
Ian McDowell, yes, thank you. Ian McDowell.
From Clockwork
Orange,
stuff,
all that. It sounded like he was trying to do like an Ian McDowell impression of... Because it didn't sound just like Stephen Fry normally does. Stephen Fry normally has like his very like...
going through his IMDb, he's done a lot of the like AI robot voice kind of voices over the years. So
yeah, he has, but this isn't. Maybe I'm just misremembering it. Even though I watched it.
I mean, I didn't catch it. I just caught imposing British voice, and then it was looking it up after the fact.
And here's
like,
I may have heard that and immediately connected it to like an Ian McDowell thing.
Sure. Anyway, some trivia here. The I've got a bad feeling about this, a mainstay staple of the Star Wars franchise, doesn't get fully said, but Neil's mom does start to say the line in episode 7, but is stunned by the security droids and is not able to get the full line out. I found it interesting that the last correspondence Atten seemed to receive was a la Order 66 about the Jedi being, evil and bad. But maybe that was just the last correspondence they received regarding the Jedi, and basically nobody has talked to At-Atten since the Empire fell. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see if they ever like revisit that and like, oh yeah, they have been, radio silent for a while because the galaxy forgot they were there during the changeover from power and stuff. Some Jadna Nawud aliases include, of course, Captain Silva, which we did correctly identify and predict back in the original episode. I don't think it was like a surprise at all, but he's also been known under the aliases Crimson Jack, Dash Zenton, Jodwick Zank, and then he takes on the guise of Professor Umian Gorlox there on the luxury planet. At-Atten is one of 9 jewels of the Old Republic. Others that we get either seen or mentioned in the show are at Akron, at A2, at Arisia, at Erevan, and at Akoda. So there's 3 more out there because Kim does mention in episode 3 that At-Atten is one of 9 planets hidden before the New Republic era. And then last little bit of trivia I have for you. Little Hondo Onaka cameo in the form of his ship, the Katuni, or a very similar looking vessel, can be seen among the pirate ships at Port Borgo in episode 3. So fun little if you know his ship from Rebels and stuff, you could see it there. And yeah, like the screenshot I saw, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely a Hondo Onaka ship.
Yep.
What did you think now that you are fully caught up, because you were always a few weeks behind there, Cam? What'd you think of the full series now that you wrapped up season 1?
Now that I wrapped it up, I have to say I love it. I've just fallen deeply in love with it. The hint of the curiosity of, okay, what is Jod's background? Like, who is Jod? That's always a tease. Like, we get to see these moments that he has of it's interesting because there is, and we get the reveal in the very last episode. I'm just going to spoil it out here. You find out that he was a waif that was found by a Jedi in the period, the dark period of the Empire, was raised by them for a little while, was trained by them enough to know some basic lightsaber stance maneuvers. When Jod takes out the supervisor, he does that, and then you see he does some some very basic strikes and poses with it to know it's okay, he learned enough how to use a lightsaber just enough not to hurt himself, basically, like we see Wim almost do. Mm-hmm. But we also see that he's very adept of using movement, sleight of hand movement with the Force, always using it to his advantage. But he's not he's not trained well enough to know how to do massive Force pushes. He's not trained enough to know advanced combat to deflect blasters.
He gets that Force push in there against the mom, I think, in the last one, or maybe the dad. I don't remember.
Either Wim or Fern's mom or dad. But the thing about it's not like big Jedi, this is not I'm a Jedi of the Old Republic. And to find out that it's and the moment Jude Law does such an amazing delivery on it, where and this is the thing, deep down at his core, he's a good person, but he keeps making the bad, wrong choices. The thing is, he's made bad, wrong choices to the point where he believes that he's a bad person.
I think he is a bad person. He won't cross the line of killing the kids. He has plenty of opportunities to do that, and he won't cross that line. But he's a pirate. He's not
pirate.
A good guy.
I would say he's a good pirate, which is not to say he's a good guy.
Yeah,
I think that's a better way of putting it.
He's a pirate. He's not a Robin Hood.
No.
He's not. He is not at all. He is out for himself, and he will absolutely screw over, and has in his past clearly screwed over plenty of people and pissed off plenty of people. But yeah, he's not ruthless. He's not cold-hearted to the point that he will ruthlessly kill these children. And maybe he would have if he hadn't gone on the adventure with them. Who knows? The biggest dumb bait and switch thing that I hated about this, I overall enjoy the series a lot as well. I absolutely hate episode 7 ending with him like clicking on the lightsaber in a very menacing, like, oh, there's the cliffhanger shot of like threatening the families of the families and the kids. And then episode 8 picks up and he just immediately turns it back off. It's like, go fuck yourselves.
Yep. That sucked.
That was like right up there with like the really shitty like episode ending moment of The Acolyte of like, go fuck yourself. Like this should have just led right into the next scene.
Sure.
Didn't like that, but the rest of the series I liked a lot. There was a lot of fun to be had here. Absolutely just, silly fun adventure stuff.
It comes back to the point where he's explained to Wim his view of the nature of the galaxy. He says the galaxy is this awful, terrible, like dark place with only these tiny, small pinpricks of light in it. Like this man has lived a very hard, harsh life. He had a moment where he's classic Jedi story, right? Maybe he's a little too old, but he's found in poverty. He's taken in, raised by this Jedi for a little while, like learns to be good, learns the moral compass he's supposed to have, and then it's stripped away from him and he's forced to watch the only parent he apparently has ever known be murdered in front of him. Like, this is a mentality, and it's like, I understand how Jod got to where he is. He has a layer of empathy to him, but at the end of the day, he has still made the decision and made the choice to do what he's done and do what he's doing.
So the other thing
he's not a good person.
Throw out here is Jod lies
all the time,
routinely. So even that we don't know.
We can't know for sure it's truthful.
Yes, that might be like the little nugget of truth that he is giving, but it could also just be like him playing on their sympathies and especially exploiting the fact that Wim is obsessed with the Jedi and trying to play into that story.
Here's the thing. It totally could be, but there's just enough of a nugget of like, there's something there about that. And I think that's the better play, right? It's better that we do question if it's true or not. Mm-hmm. It's better because it makes him more interesting. It makes him more compelling, I feel, than like, you never 100% know. And the fact that like, we don't know 100% what happens to Jod.
Yeah.
Because they end it, I think that's brilliant. I think it's done brilliantly. I think a lot of times
it's definitely a like, hey, we're hoping for a season 2.
We're hoping for a season 2, but I also feel like there's a level of like, on a lot of times in these older movies with like young adventure movies, you don't know what happens to everybody after the events of it. I think it ends on a perfect note. I think I'm like, when it ended, I was like, you know what? Could I have gotten a little bit more to kind of get like more fleshed out of like the aftermath?
I mean, as somebody who rewatched Goonies like during the run of this show, like that movie ends and the Fratellis are arrested and going back to jail.
Well, we also know the pirates were thwarted and they're being rounded up by the X-Wings and everything like that. We know,
Jod. This is definitely giving the leeway for Jod to have escaped and gotten away with it. He'll live to fight another day, kind of thing.
For sure. I think there is but now that we've talked about Jod enough, Jude Law, incredible job in this show. If it's one season and done, fantastic. Like what a way to put your fingerprint on the galaxy with a unique and interesting character. And then you are surrounded by the actual true cast of the show, the skeleton crew. They are fan-fucking-tastic. Sorry for my language, but they are. They're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, like the sorry for your language. Like your family's the one that's going to listen.
I know my family's the one that's going to listen.
So
I know.
You're like that's on you.
That is on me. Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. By the way, people who didn't know, my parents, like my dad, started watching these old episodes in front of me with the rest of the family, and I'm just like, I feel weird about this, and I left. And I was like, I gotta go.
You said something about like, oh yeah, Addie's going to really enjoy our number one of the movie of the year, and I'm like, you're going to have them listen to the movie of the year. I'm pretty sure we cussed a lot in that.
Oh
podcast.
No. I just said I know Addie's gonna like. You tell Addie Wicked was our number one movie. Sorry, spoilers for that movie of the year podcast, but Addie Wicked was our number one, and it's like, and so I was saying that I didn't want her. No, she's not gonna watch. She's not gonna listen to 4 hours of. Yeah. Addie does not care about anybody's opinion but her own, and she could care. Sometimes she's like, Uncle Cam, do you like this thing that I like? Because then I want to talk to you about it. Mm-hmm. Like that's her. I love Addie. She is a dear baby girl. Like she is one of my dear baby girl nieces. I love her. I will die for her. I will fight for her no matter what. And this goes across the board for all my nieces and nephews. But that baby was born able to, with her being able to lift her own head. She has always had an eye for like an in, or like a. She always knows a little bit. Like she always has a goal. I don't want to say she's manipulative because she's not. She can be, but she's not always manipulative. But when she goes for something, it's with intent and goal and a plan. I just described somebody who manipulates people.
All right, now this is just going to be annoying to your sister.
No, because my sister knows this. Like, this is me saying this is not something that they have not said themselves before. I'm airing it out for the public to hear, but you guys don't know jack about my family. So.
Yeah, the public are 10 maybe listeners that will get on this episode.
Anyway, watch this episode. Blow the hell up, Trevor.
Sure.
No, I'm joking. But
our Simpsons episodes usually pop off. Star Wars is gonna just do nothing. Anyway, lots of fun to be had with the titular skeleton crew. The kids
they're
are
awesome.
Are a lot of fun. KB's the standout for me of the bunch.
Absolutely, yes.
Loved the Zero Friends episode.
Her entire the lead up of the steam corrodes your stuff. And it's I'm like, okay, I'm not really seeing that. And then it just happens slowly. And I'm like, there's some great methodical acting going on with her movements and what she's doing.
It was a lovely allegory for
anything.
Somebody on the spectrum, kind of
somebody on the spectrum, somebody who's suffering from disability, somebody who's suffering from cognitive disability, as somebody who has a cognitive disability. That was massive. This is the thing. I saw a lot of myself in KB. A lot of the and having somebody the whole process, I have to. And by the way, this also goes out to people who have physical ailments, people who kids who have colostomy bags and stuff like that. There's a process to make sure that I'm okay and safe and I don't get an infection. There are layers to KB as an allegory and an analogy to numerous stuff. And it's one of the things that Star Wars can be awesome about. And they just nailed it with KB. Because the entire time, KB is she's a badass. She's just killing it.
Yeah.
The entire time. She's smart as a whip. Loving, supportive to her friends. Very friendly also to women Neil. We're going to be together. Okay. Immediately is able to bond with people. And finds a real connection to SM33. They do such a great job with this character and the actress, this little actress who I know that you have what she was on before, but I've never seen her on anything before. Just absolutely wowed by her. She's stellar, absolutely stellar. When she's flying the ship with SM33 in the last episode, just awesome. When she falls out and she's passed out, and then it's that's awesome. Everything about her is awesome.
Did we win? A lovely callback to episode 3 when John turns on one of the battle droids, and the battle droid's did we win?
Yep.
Turn back off. You're not SM33.
Just awesome stuff.
Yeah. So talking through just kind of episode by episode, we had obviously we already did the first couple episodes, so I'll just jump straight to episode 3. Very interesting, an astrogation problem. This is we left off with Jod finding the kids in the brig.
Yep.
And okay, they escape the brig and are, on their way to get the ship. I love the kids basically pulling the power play and being no, we need to get our droid back. Go get our droid back. We're not leaving without him, kind of thing. Whereas, Jod is absolutely trying to kind of play the kids and just kind of take over everything. And then I love the introduction of the little owl creature. I was oh, that's a cool alien design that we hadn't seen before.
Completely different out of it felt like something out of the Creature Shop or something after having watching Idea Man.
Yeah.
Felt like something that maybe a little too polished to be a Muppet, a traditional Muppet, but felt great. Felt great. You could see that being a Muppet in the older movies.
Yeah. And I love that we started to get answers as to what the mystery of Atten was there. Really paying off. And the idea that oh yeah, we're in the New Republic era, and so X-wings are jumping in, and they're kind of being the police in the sector and stuff like that. So
they're the Rangers of the New Republic.
Yep, there we go. Trying to think if there was anything else that jumped out from that one. The pirate I mentioned that played by Alfred Molina. It was a fun little tease of like, oh, I'm just gonna turn you in, and Jaws like, don't do that. So yeah, then we get Can't Say I Remember No at Atten, where we start getting that like reprise to really give the game that SM33's like circuits have been commanded to use that as like a code phrase.
We have that perfectly foreshadowed in the first episode with like droids are easy to manipulate. And we know that because we saw R2D2 and C3PO just get their entire memories wiped by Leia's dad. Just like, I'll make sure their memories are wiped. Like when you put the allegory of like droids as slaves or whatever you want to put towards that, a lot of droid treatment is horrible.
Oh yeah.
And like definitely here as well. But what I love is how the kids bond with SM33. SM33 is their protector. He's the first mate to Fern, obviously, and it's just done so well with that.
Yeah, this one like starts with them landing on a planet and thinking they're back home at Atten, and we see like a lot of the kind of same like architecture and structure,
infrastructures. Yeah,
and I was like, wait, did I miss an episode here?
That's what I thought too. Did they somehow get caught in like some sort of like time? Like what's going on here?
How is so much time? And then finding out, no, it's one of the other like sister planets basically. And I love that this one has like, oh yeah, it's run down and has this like weird little like Lord of the Flies Civil War kind of situation going on. My absolute favorite element of this episode though is the kid that Neil befriends, Hannah. Like, I love every moment she gets. She does like a little flip or like a little extra, she adds a little extra flair to her movement and stuff. And like, I remember like I saw people kind of like shitting on that online afterwards. I was like, none of you remember what it was like to be a kid then. Yeah. Anybody doing like that was so true to like when I would play at the jungle gym and be like, yeah, I'm absolutely going to try and do a flip off of this monkey bars.
Listen, anybody who shit on it, anybody who like poo-pooed on it on social media are obviously the kids who are jealous of the kids who could do that. Kids who weren't jealous of those kids who were friends with those kids. All my friends could do a front flip. All my friends could do we can do back flips. I was the one kid who it turns out couldn't do any of that. I just did not have the agility because I had a short square body. And that was like, that didn't change. That still hasn't changed much. I'm just a taller square body now, with a little bit more rotundness, roundness to it. But like when it comes down to it, like, all my friends could do it and it was the coolest thing in the world.
Like this was the episode directed by the Daniels. And that just strikes me as something that they absolutely honed in on and told her to do. They were like, you just like go nuts with this kind of stuff.
Yep. Do some parkour, do some flips, do any kind of flourish we can add to it, do it. Because to kids, this makes you look like the coolest kid.
Yeah.
The fact that she's a grown-up, she has a weapon, she's doing like hand signs for that, like, and it's not done for laughs, it's done very seriously because we're seeing it through the kid's eyes and perspective of it. It's cool. It's awesome. Oh, she's also the daughter of the leader. But what I really love about her character, what I really love about her is the way she grows. Because Neil introduces the concept of peace to her.
Yeah.
Introduces the concept of, hey, you maybe don't be a child soldier. And it's like, oh, I've never thought about just not like going out and retaliating and murdering people. I've never thought about that before. What it would be like to not do that. And it shows at the very end. It shows, it changes. Also, shout out to Jaw just showing up with the EOPs and just like, oh yeah, no, I traded for them. And it's like they were on their way to trade them back to you anyway.
Yeah, they were happy to take my gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like easy to do. And it's like, oh, I love that resolution. We didn't get like a drawn out battle where the kids are like, this is the horrors of war. We avoided that. Great.
Yeah. And I also like that it sets up because Neil has seen where this giant turbo laser is on this planet. Yep. He knows where it is for the end battle in the last episode.
Foreshadowing, nailing it. This is the thing that I think this series has so well is there's an internal consistency to the things that are revealed early on that then not just pay off, but have a really well thought out through line. Neil's like, how can I help? Oh, I'll go to the giant laser cannon because I know that there's one here. Yeah. It's perfect. It's just perfectly done. Or maybe he didn't know, but he's like, you know what? There's probably one here on top of our school.
Yeah, this is definitely a great showcase episode for Neil. The one that like really kind of puts the spotlight on him,
And he goes from being kind of the whiny sidekick to really being his own person in the Skeleton Crew.
Yeah,
It did a really great job of establishing that as that.
and then we get the reveal that SM-33 has been here before, has seen these, and is the one who, under the command of his former captain, crossed out the coordinates to Atten so nobody else would be able to find it, and goes berserk and then gets turned off basically by everybody else. Great like little. That one was a great case of a cliffhanger, and a great way to utilize that.
Yep.
Then you have a lot to learn about pirates, where they taking that information, but not knowing how to get back to Atten just yet. They go back to Tak Renad's old lair, which is now like a resort, a luxury resort.
So good.
This absolutely, like, in the series of so many other like Goonies touchstones and stuff like this touches on that moment in the Goonies where they're calling up from the well, and that well is on like a golf resort, and they bang on pipes, and it's messing with like the preppy jerk kids in the toilets and stuff like that, in the showers. Absolutely love that little kind of nugget here, along with just the lore, the riches, the like trap room where they need to throw in your sacrifice, and what is going to be the sacrifice to the acid pit. It's not a life. He didn't care about life.
Yeah, he didn't care one bit about it.
Throw some money in there, and boom, that drains it. Love, and this goes again to like John's not a good guy.
Nope.
He tells SM-33 to like refill the pool up there, and you hear the screams of the pirates above, kind of thing.
Yep.
And then like he goes ruthless and basically says like I'm taking the ship. I challenge trial by combat kind of thing, and takes the command away from Fern. We get that.
It's heartbreaking. That's a heartbreaking scene when it happens too.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Like you knew, like in the back of your mind, it's a curse you and your sudden but inevitable betrayal moment.
Yeah.
But it still hurts because like you see how much these kids have attached themselves to Jod, and Jod just is like, at the end of the day, his greed, and I really put it more to like his hunger. Like he was a poor child. Any chance he has to make his way in the galaxy, he's going to take it. And in this moment, you see him contemplating it. You see him wondering, like, is this the moment that I pull this off? Is this the moment that I rip off the Band-Aid?
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah.
And he cements himself as the villain of the show and does a great job. It reminds me also of Long John Silver, almost a little bit.
Yeah. Especially like Muppet Treasure Island.
Muppet Treasure Island, especially. Yeah.
This is absolutely like Tim Curry and Jim Hawkins coded. Yeah.
Yeah. With Wim and him. Yeah, absolutely it is. And I will say, on top of that point, I will also point that, like, if they had given us, like, a Treasure Island ending where Wim lets Jod go.
They do, basically,
yeah.
where, like, Jod gets away in the way that Tim Curry, is sailing away on that boat.
But I mean, if at the end with the X-Wings and he's looking up, if he had looked over and saw Jod getting away and goes to, like, say something and then they, like, lock eyes and then he chooses not to, that would have been, I think that would have been, like, a pitch perfect ending to be like, this was very much a Treasure Island story. I'm still cool. Enjoy what they ended it with, but I think that would have been a funner thing.
I think Jod put too many of the people that Wim cared about in danger to make that really work for Wim. So I like that they didn't have that moment.
I think that's fair. I think that's a great criticism of my alternative ending.
But speaking of Wim here, we get the great as soon as it gets telegraphed that like he sees a lightsaber, I'm like, he's gonna grab that lightsaber and he's not gonna know how to hold it, so he's gonna turn it on. It's gonna be upside down, and that's exactly what we get. And it's something that like we haven't gotten to see in Star Wars, because we've never gotten to see somebody who just isn't adept with a lightsaber really hold a lightsaber, like a dumb kid who has just read about this stuff in the storybooks and stuff. but
he doesn't know one hand
absolutely
from the
the
other.
dumb stuff we've done, and plenty of times we would have done ourselves with like the any kid, like every kid who would have done all of those extra crazy flips and stuff like that are also the same kids who would have absolutely cut off one of our limbs with a lightsaber if we actually had a lightsaber when we were kids.
I mean, the fact that it's a free-flowing plasma sword, and it's like, why did only the Jedi use them? It's like, because they're extremely dangerous and not practical for anybody but a Jedi to use.
Yeah.
To the point where people were like, hey, I could have a lightsaber, or I could use a vibro knife, which is much safer for me to use, or a vibro sword, or whatever. Any other kind of physical weapon is safer for me as a person than free-flowing plasma.
Yeah.
And we see it here. It's awesome.
Still incredible, great gag. And then, Jod basically takes that and overthrows Fern, mutinies.
When he says yield, just yield. Like, please, like, it's
Again,
just...
he doesn't want to kill a kid. Like, that's the line he does not want to cross.
To the point where he's like, I want them as hostages. I want them as, like... Is that his also play about being manipulative and using the kids as like a chip? Probably, but also at that same as core of his person, he is not so ruthless and terrible and awful.
He would have been perfectly content to skip the next 2 episodes and just go straight back to Atten and get take the kids in.
Do that whole thing, and
just like he ultimately does.
Yeah, the only reason he brings the pirates with him is because the pirates caught him at the end.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think we still have him do the heist, take off with a ship full of gold, and then just be good for a while until the gold runs out or he dies and then spills the beans or whatever. Like, there's a natural thing that would have happened after that, I think, but he would have gotten away with it.
Yeah, if it was just him. Once he has, like, the pirate crew back with him, I like that his plan ultimately becomes, like, all right, we're going to take over this place and basically just use the mint for ourselves and our own gain, and we will just have a never-ending flow of money.
Here's a fun thing about money, though, is that if you had done that, you would have devalued your currency with these dataries and credits.
Like,
these things are Old Republic credits, which means there's a value to them. However, that value is in their rarity and the scarcity of the item.
Sure. I don't think that really applies on a galactic scale.
Maybe not.
Like,
but I'm just saying,
I think he would have been perfectly fine with, like, the 1,000+ vaults of gold.
1,000. When they're like 1,030, it's like, whoa.
It was 1,139, which I didn't call it out in the trivia, but like a one above the classic THX 1138 reference.
Awesome. Just awesome stuff. Also, when that vault opens, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so much money. Yeah. And his reaction to it, he is like, he's never seen that much money in his entire life.
Yeah. He just goes and touches it and it just like trickles down.
And he's like he's catching it.
That was the one moment I was like, don't like just make those actual props, because now you've got like this weird CG thing where like they're not falling into his face. They're kind of like just happen to be avoiding his face, or it was like, oh man, like that.
This is when you need practical props and effects. Also, that entire vault sequence, it's all green screen, so much green screen, and it's bad at that point. I'm like, this is just obviously bad, and I don't care for it.
We're in the middle of a planet, jumping back, we get the kids, basically like falling into the death trap willingly. Just happens to work out for them. That's convenient. But
it was probably used to be like an acid pit or a mud pit down there, and then it just, not there.
Well, it is very much like it throws them out to the wastes, basically, of the land. So, and with only sheer cliffs, beside them. And hey, maybe that giant crab creature that was out there used to be Tack Renaud's pet or something like that.
Yeah, it could have been.
And so maybe it was just there ready to kill them.
Also, proof that Wim shouldn't be captain. He makes the wrong choices every time.
Then we get to Zero Friends again. This is the Bryce Dallas Howard episode, which was a great standout and a just great kind of showcase for Kiriana Ritter's KB role, and I loved the pairing off of KB and Wim and Neil and Fern.
Also, how Wim and Neil, because of their just open, like, they're younger, sure, but their open talkingness, like, well, why can't you just say that to her? And it's like, dumb boys, but at the same time, it's kind of like, the logic of this, and but it helps both Fern and KB grow in such a massive way that it's like from the mouth of babes, from the mouths of innocence, truth comes forth. Like we get that moment from these two younger kind of knucklehead kids who at this moment give some very wise advice unknowingly.
Yeah.
And then you see Fern. Yeah, Fern learns what it means to look at, not just be like, let's go, but to actually be like, I have to take care of the other people around me.
Yeah.
With the rope with Neil and helping him through that because he physically can't make that gap. And it helps her grow and once again touches back on KB needed to do what KB needed to do, but she didn't tell that to Fern. It's all about the open communication. And we saw the first episode, KB and Fern had a communication problem. And we find out that it's because KB was in an accident. Fern thinks that she has, like, there's a whole level of their friendship and dynamic that was changed by the accident that's never been resolved and is then resolved by them both growing in this way. Layers going on in this episode. I think it's beautifully directed. Bryce Dallas Howard continues to just like impress me. She does the weird, like out of nowhere giant machine stuff and giant like monster stuff very well. So continues to be great at that.
Yeah, we get the big threats of the giant crab thing.
Shout out to the tiny crabs though. I enjoyed those tiny crabs.
Yeah, tiny crabs. Like one of the Easter egg sites I looked at was like, maybe this is a reference to Pirates of the Caribbean. And I'm like, sure, maybe it's
whatever.
A reference to
the worst movie.
At World's End.
Yeah.
But then we get the like
Sort of Pirates of the Caribbean did not go as fun as we wanted it.
This I didn't think about it in the moment, but like thinking back, the parallel I'm going to make to the machine, like basically like trying to recycle the ship.
Yeah.
Great parallel to like Toy Story 3's
Yes.
ending. But the one I'm actually thinking about, that is, I think, more in the spirit of the like time period homage of like Goonies era, is the Brave Little Toaster.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
This is absolutely the car
100%,
crusher
yes.
at the end of Brave Little Toaster.
Yes, it is.
And I love that.
Yep, that's great. The traumatic moment from all of our childhoods from the cartoon.
Yeah.
Captured here very, very well.
Yeah. And we get the another like really like somebody wrote a full like spin-off like, here's how this episode is really like a tie-in Easter egg to the Smuggler's Run ride at Galaxy's Edge, was like talking about how each of the kids needs to fulfill their, role on the ship, just like, your gunner and your pilot and your engineer needs to do on I was like, all right, you're stretching and you're just trying to get weird SEO stuff.
Hey, you know what?
Shut up, whatever.
Cool
as hell when they push the button and the Onyx Cinder like releases its outer hull armor and we get the sleek 2.0 version of
I
it.
already really love the Onyx Cinder, like on just like it's like it's a pirate bar, like it's super cool pirate barge.
Mm-hmm.
The reveal of the inner Onyx Cinder or Cinder Onyx?
Onyx Cinder.
Onyx Cinder. The reveal of the true one, the moment that ship goes off, I thought to myself, I think this might be my new favorite ship in Star Wars.
The moment that happened, I was like, damn it, I know my Lego set isn't going to do that, so they're just trying to sell me a second Lego set. Boo.
And you'll buy it.
I'll buy it, absolutely.
Dude, it would be cool if it came apart that way, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I just, the film...
the other parallels I saw there was like, oh, there's Disney just milking toys again because it's the Razor Crest all over again. Like you get everybody really excited about this ship and then you destroy the ship. And now at least this one isn't like, a full like, well, that one's just gone. This one is like the other version of this instead of like, okay, well, we traded in the Razor Crest for the
Razor Crest always
Starfighter.
felt more like a not delivery van, but like a worker van, like a plumber van, like we see nowadays, like the basic worker van.
Mm-hmm.
Always felt like a worker van in space, which fit the Mandalorian season 1 feel of it, right?
Yeah.
So for me, the Razor Crest was always that to me, but I'm like, I also like that it had like living quarters and stuff inside of it in a very compact way.
Yep.
This one for me, I love first off, I love that the Onyx Cinder, its first version, looks like an old, like a traditional Star Wars ship, like from the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of texture to it, a lot of like that heaviness to it, a lot of the wear and tear to it, to comedic effect in certain episodes. But when it breaks out and you see the sleek silver of like the old Republic of the prequels, I'm just like, whoever designed these nailed it.
Yeah,
just
it
nailed it.
The biggest parallel from the prequels it has, of course, like the Naboo look and that sleek design. But knowing that, especially like the reveal that we get of like this is of At-Aten, and that's why it can get through the barrier and didn't run into issues when they left or anything like that. Is like, oh, this is a High Republic ship. This is an even older design, and so it's like, oh, cool that like those old designs were, the influence that we saw in the Naboo stuff.
Yep, it's just awesome.
That idea.
It's so cool, the idea of like we're building this out like this. It's done that way.
Shout out to Wim calling claims he's on the new ship.
Yep, nailed it, kiddo. I loved it. Also, at first I was like, well, wait, the claw's going right through the gunner seat. What's going on? I was like, oh, it's the other gunner seat, like the back one. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Just really, really awesome stuff. I just also love the entire design of the Onyx Cinder. It's just, it's perfect. It's just so perfect in so many ways. It has enough quarters for living. It has enough, like, it's sleek enough that it can like do some cool dog fighting. It has plenty of guns to it. I will say the pirate gunship though, that blows the cruisers out of the air in the before Zero Friends again. You have a lot to learn more about pirates. That episode, loved that heavy, like it's like that old Republic gunner ship, just like super modified and like tricked out with so many more guns.
Yeah, the main pirate ship, the big frigate one, is like it feels like the disembodied husk of like a Corellian frigate or something that we've seen in like the original trilogy on the side of the Rebels.
Yep, it looks like that, and it's done in such a cool way. I love. Also, shout out to we get some B-wings.
Yeah, we get B-wings in the.
So we get some B-wings in the finale. That's sick as hell.
Doing their big old laser attack.
Yep, just the moment I'm like, are they oh my gosh, they're making the laser attack happen. We get to see it in an actual Star Wars show. That's awesome.
Yeah. Another, I don't remember what I think it's a Corellian Corvette.
Yes, a Corellian Corvette shows up, yes.
The basic, like, I want to say it's the Tantive 5, but the best version, or the most notable version we have, of course, the Tantive 4, being, one of the things was like, oh, it's great that it's the symbol for hope, like it was at the end of Solo, or at the end of Rogue One, going into Star Wars: A New Hope. Obviously, seeing that ship show up in the skies over At-Aten as like the
barrier goes down.
The rebels are here, and we're here to help. Kind of
the New Republic, anyway. Although we know the fate of New Republic because they kept too many fascists around.
And hey, we'll, like, maybe all of this money from At-Aten going to play a role in that. Bridging the gap somehow.
Maybe, yeah. I thought it was great. I loved it. So.
Yeah. We're going to be in so much trouble. We get on planet side, we get the parents sending out the transmitter and doing the like passing the baton moment with all the security droids stunning them.
The fact that it was Fern's mom who actually was the one that sent it up as like the one who is of the highest position could definitely get in the most trouble. Just awesome. Yeah. Awesome stuff.
And then I love the pirates get them
with a tractor beam.
Get them with the tractor beam, bring them in, but the kids use the claw thing to immediately pick up Brutus and are like, let us go and we'll let him free. And Jod's like, no, I'm gonna be ruthless pirate, and just kills Brutus. Gets
how many times did Bruce threaten to airlock?
Gets his revenge. Yeah. I love the like throw him out the airlock being the space version of walking the plank.
Yep.
Lovely bit there.
Yep. Also, when he does it and he's like looking at Brutus, and it's like Brutus knows what's about to happen.
Yeah.
The look he gives Jod is just like, yeah, we're here. Do it. Love Brutus. Brutus as a minor B villain throughout the entire show has been like a very solid B villain.
Mm-hmm. He was the threat. He was the like Barbossa. Mm-hmm. Not as well fleshed out as Barbossa, obviously, but the first mate that basically takes over. But yeah, then the real ruthless thing that Jod does in this one is cut the head off of SM-33, and we think that's it for SM-33. Luckily, he will, get reconnected in the finale. But and then because they find out from like the beacon and from they can deduce that like, oh, the reason this ship can get through is because it can turn off the barrier, or it
just doesn't get hit by the barrier.
It doesn't get affected by the barriers. Is a great like, okay, yep, that's how they were able to stay hidden. It is like it's coded to specific ship frequencies and stuff.
Also, massive shout out to the kids when they see Atten from space for the first time, and they're just like, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like that really wonderful moment of realization. For them.
Especially after the moment of we saw the even bigger barrier cloud around it, that once you get through that, it's so much empty space, and then the relatively small planet. But yeah, the absolutely that moment that astronauts have when they're up in space and then look down at Earth and we're blue marble in the sky, but it's a huge blue marble.
Awesome moment.
Great stuff. And then we get the Jod coming in as the emissary and putting that facade on, basically threatening the kids. And I love the moment of him being like, I'm so glad I got to see what your parents look like, so now I know who to kill if you guys get out of line.
Yep.
And just kind of gets to again play that real threat and cruelty, letting him know that he's like letting the kids know he's not a good guy. He's not here to be a good guy. He's not going to hurt them if he doesn't have to, but he's not a good guy, and they should not cross him.
And to the point. Like, this is one of the things I like about Jod as a villain in the show. Yep. Is he has lines he does not want to cross, but he lets the kids know, I will cross. Like, I may not kill you, but I'll kill your parents. Yeah. But to the point where he goes, I'm tired of everything about you kids. I'm tired of the incessant whining, the chattering, like all of that. I hate it. Like, in that big, like, kind of like I'm revealing to you that I've always found all of you annoying and I hate you. And it's in a very like, and this is the same energy he has when he talks about his past to Wim, which is why I'm like, I feel like this is the truth. Is also, I feel like these kids, being around these kids, did bring out a softer side of him. He did, quote unquote, have to play nice with the kids. But I think there's a side of him that was very much of a, like, he has to play hard to get what he wants, and he's going to do it. But there's a side of him that can lean into being kind and soft. He does not have to comfort women that moment. And before a couple episodes ago before this, he does not have to have that moment where he talks to him about like helping Wim overcome his homesickness a little bit. He doesn't have to have that soft moment, but he chooses to. And it's like, once again, it goes back to choice. We make the choices we make, and that's who defines us and who we are, right? That's a little Batman Begins reference there. Yeah. But Jod is not a good guy because he makes the choices to be a bad person. And that's the aspect about this character that I really like. But I also love that there's showmanship to him. There's flair to him.
Yeah. Real quick correction from like 30 minutes ago that has just been like sticking in the back of my brain. I was like, Ian McDowell is not the right name. Malcolm McDowell is who we were talking about.
There we go. Yeah, Malcolm McDowell.
From Clockwork Orange.
Thank you.
Stuff.
Yes, I'm like, what did I got
Ian,
stuck on?
Yeah, Ian McDowell is just not that name. I was like, who? Like, what is his actual name? I gotta correct
Malcolm
this.
McDowell. Thank you.
So if anybody was yelling at us for the last 30 minutes, there, I corrected it. You just didn't listen long enough. Anyway. Yes, we get the real good guys here. Again, I absolutely hate the like end of the last episode being like lightsaber drawn and then immediately turning it back off at the beginning of this episode. It's like, screw you.
Listen, for me, who watched literally those last two episodes back to back, it didn't bother me, but that's why it didn't bother me.
Sure, yeah.
I watched.
It's the absolute faux, like, oh, they're in such threat for a week, and like if you had asked me after watching that episode, like, what's going to happen, first thing the next episode, I'm like, he's going to not kill them. Like he'll probably just turn the lightsaber off, and it's just absolutely a bullshit fake out. And sure enough, that's exactly what they do. Doesn't make it any less annoying and stupid. But yeah, anyway, we get I like him basically seeing Fern as the biggest threat.
Yes.
So he's like, she's the one that he wants to keep close, and bringing in the mom with them, while everybody else is basically taken back home, and the security droids are kept to like keep an eye on them, so they can't just kind of go out and blurt like John's a bad guy. No. But I love
shout out to the oh no, gotta rescue Princess Fern.
Yeah,
with the toys, so great.
Yeah.
Great callback to episode of the first episode.
Yeah. Call out to the showdown, or the standoff between Jod as the emissary and the supervisor, when the supervisor's like, "Are you the emissary or are you a Jedi?" And Jod's like, "I am a Jedi, and well, the last thing we knew about the Jedi is they're bad." So
which are you? Like, what are you?
And I love the
yeah.
I mean, obviously, the biggest reference here, of course, being like Hal from 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yes.
But I liked that, like,
I can't let you do that,
the
Dave.
light kept changing from like blue to red.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like we don't know if this thing is like good or bad or evil kind of thing. The fact that it has so much of like a probe droid aesthetic to it.
Yes.
Just a giant, massive. Like I don't know if I just like if I was looking at something else like in an establishing shot, but it was like looking up and seeing like the zoomed out shot after they're having some of this conversation, and just seeing how like a lot of it is close up just on the light changing from red to blue, and like the conversation, then like cutting back to Jod, and then you get a wide shot of like small Jod, smaller Fern, and this giant supervisor droid that is basically the AI core at the center of this planet or whatever.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, okay, that like that's the thing that's running everything, and that has this whole planet under its thumb kind of thing.
When Jod puts his hand across the back of that chair and it's just caked in dust, such a great aesthetic to show like supervisor's been the only one in charge for a while.
Yeah. And then, again, the last correspondence that it lets us know it has received is Order 66. So end of episode 3, and we're here post episode 6. So 30 some odd years have basically passed, at least in terms of what it's telling us that it is aware of. And so, yeah, it's very much that like vibe of, did you think he was just doing John Henry Eden from Fallout? Is that why you thought of Malcolm McDowell?
Maybe.
Maybe. There you go.
Yeah, maybe that's the connection I made on that. Maybe.
But yeah, absolutely love that. And then Jod basically being like, all right, we're just doing this then. And we get the classic Qui-Gon Jinn lightsaber into basically right into the I think of the door from Phantom Menace, but here in the thing. Didn't expect it to just shut everything down, but there you go. That works too. And so we get like the blackout, which gives the kids the opportunity to go ahead and make their play to save the day.
Shout out to Neil taking a bath.
Yeah, Neil again in the bath,
establishing that shot, like
looking.
There's a window there, so you can
up
see
at
it
the
come
window
through.
as the pirate ship comes down.
Listen, great shot,
barrier and stuff.
Great shot. Just what a great tie into the first episode. What a great I just love that aspect of it. I'm like, why is there a giant window up there? Like, what's that about? And it's like, well, we established in the first episode that there's a giant window there. So
yep.
Also, that's a giant bath.
Yep.
I thought it was gonna be big because I thought maybe his like parents are a little bit are way bigger or something, like big elephant type people. It's like, no.
Yeah, they're just they are a classic suburban upper middle class, just a big bathtub for anybody that wants it in the family.
And shout out to the baby ones. They're still adorable.
Sure. Love the kind of reprise of the like speeder bike chase.
Yep.
This time with the dad like joining in. And they go back through the forest. They know there's a big jump, and KB's like, floor it. Like, we just all got to floor it. And they
Wim
all
does
do
floor it. Yep. He does it this time, and
They
he
all
makes
make it. The dad makes it, and he's freaking out, and he's never had such a fun time kind of thing. Love that moment.
The fact that his dad is, I'm just going to be honest, like, when I before we started recording, I said, dude, I'm the biggest freaking nerd. Because I was talking about like how I love like deep research and stuff like that. I was like seeing his dad be like, son, I'm a senior analyst.
Yeah, I'm a level 7 analyst. I got this.
The moment he said that, I was just like, oh, this is what Trevor sees when I talk about like my stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Also, he doesn't push up his glasses at that moment too? Yeah, it's sure. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
He is absolutely owning his like nerd cred moment there, and like he's exactly the man that they need to turn the power back on here kind of moment.
Yep.
Shout out also, going back a few episodes, to his like the wildly janky like skeleton key that they're using to try and like get whatever they need to get, that he plugs
the access
in.
Codes,
and the moment with the security droid of like, show me your hand, sir. There you go. Show me your other hand, sir. Here you go. Show me both hands, sir. And then he just immediate cut to Farah's office.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like,
so good.
We need time. Kind of all the parents, having their little machinations.
Listen, shout out to those parents. They actually were trying to do something.
Yeah.
Better than most parents in 80s movies.
Absolutely. And yeah. Shout out to the sequence here of everybody having their role to play in this. Obviously, Fern and her mom are kind of their hostages, but they're not trying to be like solo hostages. And shout out to Jod shooting at them and being like, no scheming. Like,
great.
I'm not a stupid villain. I know what you're doing.
I spent enough time with Fern to know she schemes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love KB, being able to be the one that can fly the ship, them realizing it's still got the clamps on it. Shout out to Jod having already loaded the ship up with all sorts of credits and stuff that are just pouring out of the ship, the loading door. But yeah, then the dad, shout out to Neil taking the hit on the thing and being like, I got this. I'm going to go get cover, and heading to the turbo laser.
Realizing that he still has a part to play,
yeah,
and is going to do that, and knows immediately what he needs to do. It's great. It shows, because we've already seen Neil's a really smart kid.
Yep.
Wim has moments where he can be real dumb, but he's also really brave and really creative.
Yeah, Wim using like the story to basically buy cover for his dad to go get the power on and distract Jod. Even though Jod knows he's full of crap, he still listens to the story anyway.
But I think that plays into like their bond, even though it's been stressed to this point. At this, like, Jod is still willing to let Wim spin a tale because there's something about that in their bond.
Yeah. And what if Wim is telling the truth, and there really is this, key of the founders or whatever that he bullshits his way.
Listen, they told him they're from Atten, and it turned out to be true. Anything could be true with these kids,
But yeah, KB gets the ship up and going, breaks out the orbit, and gets the call out to the New Republic, and they send their resources, and then shout out to the great moment of the parents trying to basically help and pull the barrier down, especially the mom, who's been the most averse to it. I love the little moment that Fern has with the mom saying, like, even in the scary places we went, there was always good people. Like, there is, like, yes, the galaxy is a scary place, but everywhere we went, there's good out there.
And I immediately had a flashback to one of the women in episode 2 that was trying to help them out, that there was in episode 3. I guess in episode 3, it's like Jod was the good person in that episode.
I would say the owl lady, Kim.
The owl. Oh, there you go, owl lady. Yep, there you go, owl lady. Everywhere they went, like even on the planet where everybody was like money, bougie, and everything, and like the only who helps them out, the giant like Cthulhu creature.
Yeah.
Who's just like, I just like a good story.
Yep.
And so like there's that aspect about it that I'm like, yeah, no. Fern's experience is that even though there's scary places, there's good people out there, which is in direct contrast to Jod being like there isn't good, like the small pinpricks of good that you find out there are so small and infinitesimal, and it is a contrast between somebody who has like lived a raw deal, supposedly a raw deal, and then somebody who has lived a cushy life. There's a lot of like parallels to it. I love a lot of aspects about the complications and kind of the layers of these characters and their relationships with each other and the overall like story that they're telling here. It's just, but at the same time, it's succinct. We have 7 episodes? 8 episodes. We have 8 solid episodes that are just tight, good, solid episodes. There's never, the closest thing you have to like a filler episode is, I guess, the resort episode, but so much stuff happens there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, showing us that traveling in hyperspace takes time.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we get the KB being, shot down, but is able to at least stabilize the ship long enough to not crash and explode. So we know that she's going to be okay. And sure enough, we circle back to her at the end. And yeah, she's okay and alive and well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much where we wrap up.
Yep.
The New Republic comes to shoot down the pirates. Just absolutely devastating. That little suburban street and probably a little neighborhood with the giant ship crashing through the ground and whatnot. But
yep, definitely tore up some infrastructure.
The pirates themselves were doing a lot of indiscriminate killing anyway. So and two, again, going back to Jod's credit, he gets on the horn and is like, stop killing them. We need them to be workers. We don't want them dead. We want them working for us. Not great still, but at least, he is on the side of life.
That is the
even
thing.
if it's going to be a bad life for his slave workers.
I think that's another interesting point. It's like, he goes, I just want you guys to just keep going about the things that you were always doing. He goes, I just want to take the reward for it, which this place self-sustained themselves off of their own Old Republic credits as like the currency that they used. So they got paid in it. And it's like, technically he's just the new overseer, right? And now there's a threat of death instead of a threat of being stunned by robots.
Yeah.
So worse for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely worse.
Yeah. Overall, good, fun adventure. And a nice nice type of adventure that we haven't gotten in Star Wars.
Absolutely.
With the very much focus on like the 80s emblem entertainment, like kids adventure, and seeing the galaxy through kids' eyes. And I love that so much of it is they were this very sheltered crew of kids that went on a bigger adventure than anybody on that planet has been on.
Yep.
Because of how closed off they've been. But now, like the beautiful moment of the barrier coming down and everybody seeing stars for probably the first time in their lives too.
Yeah, that was a big moment.
Being a cool little beat. So, shout out to
him having a new dream. Clearly, he wants to be an X-wing pilot. By the way, he's like staring off at him.
Yep. Yep. Indeed. Anything else we want to chat about before we dive into the report card?
I think we're good.
All right. Then let's dive into the report card. We grade from A+ to F. What do you want to give Skeleton Crew Season 1?
I'm struggling here, but I think I'm just only going to give it an A. Mm-hmm. It's tough because I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's like, screw it. It's our show. We rate it what we want to rate it. I give it an A+. This is one that I'm definitely going to go back to and watch in the future. It's one that I would definitely recommend to other people. I think that's what really gives the A+ ranking for me. Is I was like, this is one I can say without a doubt, this is a fantastic show. People need to watch it.
Yeah, I think probably just an A for me, but still a very outstanding, great time, and up there among the best of the Star Wars TV things that we've had.
I think concisely, episode to episode and the 8 episodes we get, I think this might be the best that we've gotten out of Star Wars on Disney Plus.
Yeah, maybe
it's certainly up there. It ranks really high up there.
Yeah.
So.
You mentioned there isn't a filler episode in this. I agree there isn't a filler episode. I think there are subplots in some of the episodes that are filler though.
That's fair.
And that's where I would I think this didn't need to be the full 8. It could have probably been 6, and you could have just cut out some of those other things from those episodes and sandwiched things a little bit tighter together. But at the same time, like, it does have absolutely like an A+ episode in the Zero Friends again. KB storyline stuff. Really love that. So yeah, shout out to Skeleton Crew here. Extra credit, other suggestions if you like this. You have Andor, The Mandalorian, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and this was an odd one, Wonder Boys, The Secret Treasure of Naples. I was like, what the heck is that? This is an Italian made-for-Disney Plus series that debuted its 6-episode run back on December 6th, 2024. So yeah, just a like Italian series set, you know, in Naples kind of thing. But it is absolutely like same kind of vibe of like kids going on an adventure in the, you know, catacombs of Naples and trying to, you know, face off against their own version of the Fratellis. You know, this is absolutely like a Goonies type of thing with kids. And it is in English. It seemed like maybe it was a little bit like dubbed English from like the 5 minutes that I, you know, took a look at, like kind of overdubbing kind of vibes and stuff like that. But yeah, shout out to Wonder Boys being a thing that Disney Plus is like, yeah, we spent some money on this Italian show. Go ahead and check this out.
I am going to let you know, Trevor, I did look it up. The Lego set does not have the detachable hull.
Oh yeah, no, I'm aware. If it did, that would have leaked well before. Like the Lego set is how the name Jod Na Na Wood originally was like introduced to the public. Like people saw it. People saw Jude Law's character name on a Lego listing. So yeah, if people had known for months that, oh, actually there's this like other version of the ship underneath, that absolutely would have been like in all sorts of like spoiler write-ups and stuff before the show ever aired. So yeah, of course it didn't have that extra little build underneath it. But I'm sure there are, I'm so sure because I know there are already people out there that have like done their own little mock versions of the sleeker version of the Onyx Cinder. So yeah, shout out to Lego creators. They be crazy. Extracurriculars. Anything else you're watching on Disney Plus, Cameron?
You know what? This is the last thing I was watching on Disney Plus. But there's a couple of things that looked real good. We're going to be, you know, doing in the future too. So
cool. Yeah, as I touched on a little bit last week, I've been rewatching How I Met Your Mother on the Hulu side of Disney Plus. I'm in the Stella phase.
Stella. Oh man, that's a great section of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Because it's during the Will They Won't They with Barney and Robin.
Yeah.
So it's a really fantastic time in the show.
Yep. We're right after like Barney and Robin have hooked up, and now Barney has caught feelings for Robin, but he's still sleeping around, and Lily's like, you can't do that.
Well, he chooses to just be friends with her instead. Yeah. And it's kind of the Will They Won't They is really on a lot of Robin's side, and it's Barney really not making himself available to it.
Yeah.
Intentionally, several times, intentionally. It's a great show.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm going into I just hit like a season break because it's like, you know, for that summer, you know, this is what I was doing with Stella. Robin went to Japan because she just got, you know, the job in Japan as an anchor kind of thing. The last episode I think I watched was them going out to New Jersey where Stella lives, and everybody being like, New Jersey's the worst. Ted most of all, but Ted coming around being like, I'm moving to New Jersey.
Yep.
Barney and Marshall and Lily have bought their new apartment that's slanted, and they're having to, you know, spend an arm and a leg to get that place repaired. So Marshall's taking all sorts of, you know, the bad bank job kind of thing.
Yep.
Oh, maybe I don't remember the order of operations. Maybe the episode I just watched was like the Best Burger New York episode.
Oh, and it's where he took the job. Yeah, the Best Burger New York is the one where it reveals he took the job.
The National Bank job.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a blur, but that's where I'm at in the hierarchy.
To be fair,
of-
you were sick at the beginning of this
yeah,
week. So.
the first couple of days of this week when I was watching a lot of these and just kind of binging through it, I was coming through another run of the flu. So, bleh. But yeah, so that is going to do it for this week's episode of That D Plus Show. Thank you, Cam, for joining me to talk all about Skeleton Crew Season 1. You can follow Cameron at revcabot.bsky.social. Anything you will give a shout out to there, Cam?
Yeah, I want to give a massive shout out to you. Definitely should catch it if you haven't. Our game of the year from a couple weeks ago. We really went into it. It's just Trevor and I on this time, so you'd think it wouldn't be 4 hours, right? Right?
No.
It is.
Yeah.
We do a really great job of really getting to really like dig our teeth into our honorable mentions, though, and really give a shout out and love to a lot of the great games this year.
Yep. You follow me at trevorjstarkey.bsky.social. I'll echo that with the shout out to the Movie of the Year podcast that we were joined by Logan on, which also with the three of us goes almost 4 hours.
Yep.
Not quite. I think our Movie of the Year ends up being a little bit shorter, but that's in large part because you and I didn't see a ton of movies last year, so we didn't have a ton to say about the movies we saw.
And we also saw, well, a lot of our time we're like, if you want to hear more of our thoughts, watch this episode of That D Plus Show or watch this episode of That Nerdy Site Show. So a lot of it was that sort of stuff.
But yeah, that was interesting, especially because for the first time, there was not a single movie on our list that all three of us had seen. There were a lot that like you and I saw, but Logan didn't see, or like a couple that Logan and I saw, but you didn't see, or like you and Logan put a movie on your like on your top 10, but I didn't put it there. It was in my honorable mentions or something like that. So nothing got kind of the full gamut of our love, but yeah, it was a good overall conversation and list. So shout out to that. Next week we are going to be doing a Real Pain, which I think is going to be our first like foray into the Hulu side of Disney Plus now that we have Hulu in our subscription. This is the Jesse Eisenberg written and directed movie, as well as starring in it alongside Kieran Culkin. Kieran Culkin been getting a lot of award show buzz. He won the Golden Globe for it, Best Supporting Actor. He's like I think the front runner to win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars as well for this movie. So it's a movie I wanted to see in theaters and just didn't. It was the like. That's a big ask to go out and try and catch a movie during the holiday, time of year that wasn't like Wicked, where I was like, I'm just gonna be enamored by this for 3 hours. This is gonna be much more of a dramatic, emotional tug. And so, yeah, my laziness ended up winning out and the decision to just wait until it comes to streaming. So, hey, now it's at streaming. So we're going to do that one for next week's episode. So A Real Pain. Check that out if you want to follow along with us on that one. It's only 90 minutes, so it should be a nice in and out. Like, hey, more movies should be like this. Yay. You can follow all of us over at That Nerdy Site or go to thatnerdysite.com for all the latest from us. As we touched on, I was out sick a good chunk of this week, so I haven't been able to make as much headway into like some of my remaining of the year lists that I still want to do. So those are still coming. So you'll find those when we post them on our on the website. But Cameron's did go up. Cameron's Game of the Year list did go up since last week's episode. So go check that out if you want. That'll be in one of the most recent offerings on the website. Thank you for joining us. As always, remember, if you like what you heard, please rate, review, like, subscribe, share the podcast with your friends, all that fun stuff. Stay nerdy, be good to each other. Class dismissed, and may the force be with you.
And also with you.